Hello fellow entrepreneurs, welcome to my channel where I read and summarize books relating to being a better entrepreneur. I've met no one who I thought was wise who didn't read. I believe reading is essential for those who seek to rise above the ordinary. So today, we'll be learning from Steven Pressfield's book, The War of Art. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Have you ever felt compelled to do something extraordinary, such as write a novel, direct a film, or found a charity? Do you find yourself thinking about your goal every day when you wake up, but then shrugging it off and putting it off until tomorrow? That isn't you planning to start tomorrow. It's the so-called resistance that is preventing you from reaching your full potential. Resistance is a negative force that works against our creativity and prevents us from achieving our goals. This video is broken up into 8 parts. Part 1. Resistance. This book has helped entrepreneurs in identifying and comprehending the ways in which resistance is currently preventing you from achieving your true desires. It contains valuable advice on overcoming resistance so that you can achieve your goals, do what you were born to do, and set a great example for others who wish to achieve their goals. That sensation is known as resistance, and it is the force that prevents us from achieving our goals and fulfilling our destiny. Any change in our routine that takes us away from the routine will inevitably be met with resistance. Resistance is a negative emotion that always opposes change or the introduction of something new. If you feel compelled to start a new business, for example, resistance will be the voice urging you to stay at your current job rather than risk failing on a project. If you want to start a new diet, resistance will be the voice in your head that says, "I can always start the diet tomorrow, even if I don't start today." This feeling of opposition is completely normal. It is impersonal and universal in nature, and it affects everyone. Resistance also doesn't discriminate between interests. Whether you want to do something for yourself, such as diet, or something to help others, such as start a charity, you'll encounter resistance. We must accept that resistance is natural and stop believing that it is directed at us. Resistance can even affect people who are well versed in the field. Actor Henry Fonda, for example, threw up before every theatrical performance, even in his later years. Even though he was an accomplished actor, he was terrified every time he had to perform on stage. Resistance can appear in a variety of forms. Different types of resistance include fear of failure, self-doubt, and procrastination. By constantly refocusing on your dreams, committing to our craft, and accepting that facing resistance is a natural and necessary part of the journey, we can learn how to overcome resistance. Unless we use resistance to our advantage, we will never become who we were meant to be. Is there something you feel called to do in life? Perhaps you'd like to write short stories or create furniture. That is your calling, your greatest passion, the thing that feeds your soul. Each of us has 2 lives, one lived and one unlived. We live our daily lives, but we also have another unlived life in which we have an unfulfilled dream. Part 2. Using fear to your advantage. Why are you putting off working on your dream until the future? Most likely because you're experiencing fear and self-doubt, both of which are forms of resistance. Resistance keeps us from achieving our unfulfilled ambitions. If your dream is to write a great novel, for example, you'll be terrified of being rejected by publishers or failing to meet other people's, or your own, expectations. It's possible that your fear will prevent you from even trying to write. Rather than allowing resistance to hold you back, take advantage of it. It's fine to experience fear and self-doubt. These feelings indicate that you care deeply about your goal. If you weren't passionate about something, you wouldn't be afraid of failing. Fear is a good sign that your dream is important enough to pursue. Even the most successful people are afraid. A sentiment frequently expressed by Hollywood actors exemplifies this. Inside the actor's studio's host frequently asks guests why they chose certain roles. Many professionals respond that they choose roles that they are afraid of. They recognize that their fear indicates a desire for those roles, and that they should pursue them. You can use fear to motivate yourself, just like these actors. Instead of allowing fear and self-doubt to control you, recognize that these emotions can assist you in orienting yourself toward the dreams that are most important to you. Being a professional and treating your dream like a full-time job is the best way to overcome resistance. What steps are you taking to make your dream a reality? Do you try to work on it for a couple hours every now and then? This is a mistake. Instead, imagine yourself constantly working on it, completely immersed in it, as if it were a full-time job. Even if you still have a regular job, you can be quite inventive on how to use your time to pursue your dreams. Quentin Tarantino, for example, did not attend film school and instead worked in a video rental store. He watched movies at work and directed small projects in his spare time. One of his projects was once completely destroyed in a fire. Rather than feeling like he'd failed, Tarantino realized that, despite never finishing the film, the experience had taught him more than any film school class could. A professional is someone like Tarantino who is dedicated and does not give up when faced with a setback. His dedication to his craft demonstrates this. Part 3. Don't wait for inspiration. Even if your day job is very different from your dream job, you can transfer skills from one to the other. Do you arrive at work on time every day? Do you continue to work despite distractions in your personal life? You most likely do. Work-related self-discipline skills can be applied to your passion as well. Working full-time toward your dream, like any other job, isn't always enjoyable. However, you may be able to get through your day job even if you don't enjoy it, and you can apply that ability to your dream. Consider the author Somerset Maugham, who was once asked if he could follow a schedule when writing. He replied, "I only write when inspiration strikes. Thankfully, it happens every morning at 9 o'clock. This is an important fact to remember about professionals. They don't wait for inspiration to strike, but instead work hard every day. Being a professional necessitates a thorough understanding of oneself and one's job. It's natural for everyone to experience fear and self-doubt at times. We must learn to constantly combat negative emotions because we'll never be able to completely eliminate them. You can do this most effectively by getting to know yourself and your calling as much as possible. To learn more about yourself, you must first understand your limitations. You shouldn't expect to be able to complete all of your tasks on your own. When you understand your limitations, you'll be able to recognize when collaborating with others will be beneficial. Surrounding yourself with other professionals is a good way to do this. Terry Gilliam, for example, is a well-known director who works on solo projects as well as being a member of Monty Python. He once gave a young Quentin Tarantino some sound filmmaking advice. Being a good director doesn't mean doing everything yourself. It means knowing when to delegate power to other talented people like actors, directors of photography, and producers. A great director must understand his own limitations so that he can determine which areas would benefit the most from the contributions of others. Part 4. Ask for help. Professionals also know when to seek assistance. Knowing how to ask for help can assist you in continuing to improve your craft, which is something you should never stop doing. Tiger Woods, for example, had a trainer even at the peak of his golfing career, when he was widely regarded as the best golfer in the world. Even if you're already very talented, you can always learn something more about your craft. Professionals learn how to master this never-ending learning process. Consider Madonna. She's been able to maintain such a long-running pop career by constantly reinventing her image, ensuring that her songs and performances are never dull or predictable. Despite the fact that Madonna is widely regarded as one of the greatest pop stars of all time, she recognizes the importance of continuing to learn about what she does as a professional. Professionals overcome resistance by being well-organized, patient, and courageous in the face of adversity. Assume you want to write a book and you develop the discipline to sit down and write every day. You'll quickly realize that resistance does not vanish overnight. In fact, as you continue to write, your resistance may grow, leading you to doubt your passions even more. Being persistent and organized, on the other hand, can help you overcome resistance. Part 5. Be organized. You must be organized and patient to be a professional. In his writing process, author John Updike exemplified this. He wrote every day, but he concentrated on keeping a consistent pace throughout the process. He didn't set lofty goals for himself, such as writing a novel in a week. Instead of imagining the end result, try to concentrate on the process of your work, as Updike did. Resistance can be weakened by focusing on the process rather than trying to achieve the goal as quickly as possible. It's fine if the process takes a long time. Patience is required if you want the best results. Learn to accept that you will face adversity along the way as part of focusing on the process. Rather than giving up when you encounter a problem, teach yourself to see new challenges as obstacles to overcome on your way to achieving your goal. Oprah Winfrey is an excellent example of a professional who has persevered in the face of adversity. Few people expected a talk show hosted by a black woman to gain a following at the start of her career, as the field was dominated by white men. She also wanted to focus on the personal lives and emotions of her guests, which was unusual at the time. Oprah, on the other hand, remained committed to her mission. She created America's most watched morning show in just a few months and helped bring to light many previously unspoken issues, such as obesity and bullying. Rather than flinching in the face of criticism, Oprah used it as a motivation to work even harder, as a true professional would. Part 6. Use Positive Muses. To overcome resistance, we can employ positive mental forces. Despite the fact that everyone must deal with the negative force of resistance, the good news is that there are also positive forces that can assist us. Muses are an example of a benevolent force. The Muses, according to Homer's epic poem The Odyssey, are 9 goddesses who inspire artists' creativity and ideas. They present ideas to committed artists and assist them in overcoming opposition. In fact, Homer himself urged them to be able to tell the story of Odysseus' 10-year journey home following the Trojan War. We, too, must try to invoke our muses in order to tap into forces outside of ourselves and thus overcome resistance. The only way to achieve this is through hard work and dedication. Working hard will also open you up to other positive forces outside of your control that can assist you in overcoming resistance. One example is the madness that afflicts an artist or craftsman, as described by Plato. This craziness is similar to supercharged creativity, in which the artist is completely absorbed by her craft and the object of her creation. This force shakes the artist out of her daily routine, allowing her to let go of resistance. Part 7. Professionals must contend with hierarchies in order to achieve their objectives. Everyone has had to deal with the structure of social hierarchies at some point in their lives, whether in the workplace, on Wall Street, in Hollywood, or even in high school. Hierarchies can be found everywhere. Hierarchies have one thing in common: they are always opposed to change, dictating a fixed position for each member of the hierarchy. In their daily lives, most people define themselves and are defined by hierarchies, which are typically quite restrictive. Many people, for example, struggle in workplaces that oppose giving employees creative freedom. Instead, the work hierarchy assigns everyone to a specific role. Thinking outside the box is not tolerated in such environments. Working in a hierarchy forces us to censor our actions by attempting to predict what our audience, or customers, will want from us. We're forced to measure our success in terms of our position in the hierarchy, and we're compelled to try to move up the ladder at all costs. In addition, hierarchies encourage us to see others as tools for achieving our objective, rather than as individuals. Professionals are not defined by their position in a hierarchy. Professionals, on the other hand, fight hierarchies by sticking to their craft and working for themselves rather than for an audience. For example, Steve Jobs, a well-known businessman, was a notorious perfectionist and a firm believer in his vision. He insisted on being in charge of every aspect of the products he created, from design to customer interaction. He founded the successful consumer electronics company Apple by working to realize his own vision rather than attempting to guess what others might like. Another example is German author Rainer Maria Rilke, who once advised a young poet to write for himself rather than for the critics. He mentioned an important professional truth: if your goal is to be proud of your own work, the work will be better. Part 8. Professionals commit to a specific territory in which they work to achieve their objectives. Each of us has a unique calling, whether it's writing a hit song or directing an Oscar-winning film. Professionals' territory is a location where they work on their craft. For example, former Mr. Universe Arnold Schwarzenegger's territory is the gym. He is a bodybuilder, actor, and politician. So, how do you figure out where your domain is? To begin with, your territory is the place where you feel sustenance. When you spend time to work in this place, you feel fulfilled and challenged, as if you are improving yourself. You can bet that every time Arnold Schwarzenegger went to the gym, he felt a lot better than before. Second, your territory is the area that you have staked your claim solely through hard work. Of course, many other people use the gym, but Schwarzenegger made it his own by working out there day in and day out. Third, your territory is a never-ending supply of resources. The only limiting factor in how much your territory can return for your efforts is how much you put into it. Consider Woody Allen, whose domain is the realm of film rather than physicality like Schwarzenegger's. Allen has penned more than 70 screenplays and directed more than 50 films. He has been given more and more opportunities to be creative as a result of his hard work in his territory, and he has been able to work in his territory even more, and even expand it. Hard work and dedication, like Woody Allen's, can help you shape and claim your territory. Professionals who commit to their territory successfully benefit not only themselves, but also the larger field in which they work. The early work of entrepreneurs like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs in the field of computing, for example, completely changed the world. Personal computers evolved from complex, expensive machines to simple, user-friendly tools that anyone could own and use. So whether your creative goal is artistic, such as writing a novel, or business-oriented, such as managing a startup, you'll have to deal with negative forces that work against you. To achieve your highest goals, you must defeat these forces. This can be accomplished by first learning to recognize these forces and then overcoming them through hard work and perseverance. When embarking on a creative project, many people experience anxiety, but don't fall into the trap of believing that your fear means you should give up. Instead, recognize that fear is a natural reaction to the prospect of doing something you enjoy. Instead of giving up, consider your fear as a sign that you're on the right track with your project, and keep going. This wraps up the summary from the book, The War of Art, by Pressfield. Thank you for sticking out through the very end of this video. Nothing helps out my channel more than y'all watching the entire video. These videos take a long time to make and is a labor of love. If you would like to contribute by buying me a cup of coffee, I'll leave the link below along with the link to this book. And as always, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe and watch these videos that might pique your interest. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, keep reading.